Hey, what's up? Welcome back. Let's unpack that after dark. Hope you guys had a great week. Today, we got a lot to unpack. Let me introduce my matter of fact, let my crew introduce themselves. Who's up first?
Yes, the fuck they are motherfucking dope. Sorry, I had to curse because black men are very dope. Hi everybody, it's me, Tanika.
Your name is Voodoo Crip.
Gang, you heard.
What's up?
Shall beat the God, Gemini season. You already know. We in full swing right now.
I know. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah. I'm reliable.
Oh, I hear that. All right, guys. So today we have an interesting topic, and the topic came from one of my nephews who, expressed that there's some things that we need to discuss. And today we're talking
Oh,
about
little Mickey, we doing your topic today. Is that okay?
Little Mickey said we need to have this conversation because he feels like it's important, and I
hmm
agree. I would agree that it's important. So today we're talking about teenagers and mental health, right? The process of how they feel like they're being the expectations that's being put upon them is too much, and as a result, it's causing them to have some extraneous mental health issues, and it's causing them to have some challenges in life, right? So we're gonna unpack that. So let's start with Sha. Tell
Yo,
us what you think about teenagers when it comes to their mental health. What do you think contributes to their mental health?
I think a lot of things, but I think it hasn't been until recently, maybe like 20 years, that I think people even like society even accepted it. Back in the day, it was like something wrong with little Johnny, and it's like whatever. You just kind of ignore him, and they don't know how to handle it, assess him, or whatever. Like even in my high school, they had like a separate part of the high school for kids that were like, I don't know, special needs or mental health or whatever you want to call it. But there's so much going on. I don't know about anybody else, but like I have this app called Newsbreak, and I
Hmm.
see more 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids killing people than I
Hmm.
ever seen before. Maybe it's because the media covers it more, but something is definitely going on. And I think these kids have access to way too much stuff that they brains ain't ready to process right now. Because when I was growing up, we didn't have all this stuff. Like you went outside and played, but now you can go on the internet and see all kind of weird, goofy stuff. Even the video
hmm
games are different.
So
hmm
when we talk about the levels of influence, right, and the things that causes teenagers to feel overwhelmed and feel like they need to participate in different things, i.e., peer pressure or just to kind of be in the in crowd, do you think that it starts with the parents?
No, I don't
No.
think so. I don't think you can absolve the parents, but that's kind of a kid thing. Like if we really put it in perspective, like when a kid goes to school, even like when I went to school, I saw my students and classmates way more than I saw my mom. Even when I got home, she wasn't home yet.
Hmm.
So the pressure is gonna come from the people you're around the most, and that kid pressure and teenage pressure and pressure to be accepted and stuff. That's a real thing. And there's a lot of kids that just aren't accepted socially in certain circles. Like we used to have them in my class all the time, but I was kind of bright, so I was in classes with them, so they were like my friends. So I would like protect them, like, nah, you can't pick on him, like he cool. You know what I'm saying? Because you got a group project, they parent is feeding me, so I was friends with them. You know what I'm saying? Like when
hmm
I took AP calculus, AP physics, so all the kids that people be like are nerdy or whatever, this, that, and the third, they was cool with me.
So, what do you think contribute to? Because we're talking about teenagers, right? So we know that in today's era, teenagers they see a lot. Sometimes it's the music. Now, more or less, it's the videos, the things that's being posted on social media that they're influenced by, and that's girls and boys. Whether it be body formation and or whether it be what you're wearing, whether it has to be designer or you not it if it's not designer. And I think that most parents try to gear their children towards it's okay to wear. You're not defined by what you put on, right? And we'll have
hmm
with our children and send them to school, and then when they get to school, they get laughed at for whatever that they have on. And a lot of times when it starts when they're younger, before they even get to teenager, it leaves a mark, and it follows them to into the duration of their teenage life and high school. And now they want their parents to buy them things that ultimately their parents can't afford, but they push the issue, right? So when it comes to the reaction, right, and how do we deal with our teenagers that have these experiences when it comes to mental health, what is your take on ensuring that there are some things put in place as far as like maybe mental health services, therapy?
Um, so I, having teenagers myself, my oldest, again, 21, my oldest daughter gonna be 20. When I started noticing, junior high school was when I started noticing the pressure on them. Now my daughter's worried about how her hair looks and the clothes that she's wearing, and if her butt is big enough, and stuff like that started happening. And then with my son, you know, we knew from a young age my son was gay. You understand what I'm saying? And he was very, even though he didn't express it from young, you could tell. And that's another thing, the bullying, oh, you act like a girl and doing all of this. That's another thing that could affect the mental health, right? Like we had the conversation earlier too. I think the pressure that the world puts on the kids now affects their mental health. And us as their parents and as the village as well, because like Shamik said, there's parents out there that kids don't see, they see their teachers and their friends more than their parents, because their parents is out here trying to survive and they're working 2-3 jobs trying to pay the bills. And then like we said, there's parents that try to give their kids what they didn't have, so they don't realize the hard work that they're doing. They're actually not seeing that their kid is, the village that their kid is around is not really a good village, and they're going through a lot. I had to learn that when I'm not around, my kids they're different people when I'm not around. When they're in school, they're different people when I'm not around. And they go through stuff that we don't see and that we don't know. Look, with Madison, she's only 9, and there's stuff that she's seeing or going through in school that's affecting her, and she doesn't know how to come home and express it. So I went and I requested, if maybe my daughter needs some therapy sessions so she could speak on what it is that she needs to speak about, because she probably just doesn't feel comfortable to talk to me or her father about it. So I feel if a parent is not, I don't blame the parents, but I do want parents to pay more attention. I do feel parents do need to pay a little more attention, because again, we are working hard, and I understand that we have bills to pay, but them bills is still gonna be there while your kid is suffering through something, and God forbid something happens to them. What the bills is not gonna bring them back, and especially when you have a history or a history of your parents and grandparents having mental health issues, depression, schizophrenia, my dad committing suicide. There's all of that. I think that made me even more pay attention to my kids' mental health with life in society. So I do feel parents gotta pay a little more attention now, especially with this generation, because things is too out in the open now.
So I think that when it comes to like parents, right? I think that again, I'm gonna stand firm on when I say this, that there's no manual when you become a parent, right? You only learn as you go when you raising your children, or you take some of the values or even the things that you've experienced with your own parents, right? But I do think that sometimes the environment plays a role in certain things, right? For an example, one of my daughters, she wanted to hang out with a group of kids, and they lived across the street in the projects, right? I didn't live in the projects, so I can't speak to what it's like in the projects, right? So me being a parent, my whole thing was I need to speak to their parents. I need to speak to their parents. I want to know who your parents are. So when I met the mother, she was like, "Oh yeah, I work in a church, and praise the Lord." Right. What I found out was, yeah, she worked in a church and she praised the Lord, but she allows her sons and all his friends to be in her house every day, all day, sipping on syrup and scamming. Right. So where I'm thinking that as a parent, I'm putting certain things in place and I'm meeting people and I'm going to the house and I want to see where they are. On the back end of it, it was like, yeah, got you. It's not what the surface is and what's being said is really not what it is. So now you're in a situation where you have a child who's glorifying the things that they're seeing because they don't know much about it, right? And now it's become the norm. Yeah, there's certain language that has to be spoken, and if you're not in the in crowd, you got to worry about getting jumped in the street. But in this particular topic, what I'm finding is that a lot of kids are saying that their parents have greater expectation, right? And I feel like a lot of kids feel like a parent who wants their kid to do good in school, right? Who wants them to have a plan for their life is too much. What is your take on that?
It's too much for the parent.
For the kid.
Oh, the pressure of being good and being great and being good in school. Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, you have to teach your kids. You gotta teach your kids to excel. Like, I ain't taking it easy when it comes to what my expectations are. Like, it's crazy. Like, New York is a different place. Like, even when I was a kid, I used to go to New York, and like you see 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds taking the train to school. I used to bug out. Like, even when I used to commute to work, I used to look and be like, "Yo, why is this little human being? Yo, that's crazy." Like, kids in New York grow up dumb fast. Dumb fast.
Yeah, because understand that parents, a lot of times our kids don't understand the struggle or the things that needs to be done to make sure that they live a certain lifestyle, right? They have a roof over their head, they have clothes, they have food, they have things that they need. And sometimes there's a sacrifice as a parent that you have to make sure that your children have what they need. They can have what they want, but it's your job to make sure that their necessities are given to them. So a lot of times when it's like, oh, I gotta work, but where you are, kids don't understand that, right? So then you have situations where there are latchkey children. You go ahead, I'm gonna ride the train with you, get off, don't talk to nobody, come back home or whatever. Because then if I gotta leave work, then I'm gonna lose money, and who's gonna take care of the kids if I don't have a job? So, it is different in different states as far as that. But my concern, and I think one of the topics, because of the topic, is that how do we get to a place where we're able to guide the teenagers into a better light of their mental state, so that they understand that they don't have to be on the in crowd, or they don't have to feel like, because my opinion is the expectation of life is what they feel is too much. Right? Remember when we was younger, we were teenagers, I can't wait till I'm grown. I can't wait till I'm grown and I get my own place, and I can't wait and I can't wait. I can't wait. And now we grown, and I be like, I gotta pay bills again. I wish I was a kid again, because kids don't understand the what we go through as parents to make sure that our kids have. Right? So what you gonna say, Mika?
So I think when it comes to like schooling, right? Again, with my experience, I learned that each and every one of my kids are different. They have their own personality. Some excelled faster than the other one. And I'm always going to have high expectations for my kids, especially when it comes to school. And I want them to keep going to school and I want them to pass. But there's 2 out of my 5 that I realized I have to sit and get them an IEP. You understand? I couldn't expect too much. I expect the highest from them, but I knew that they're a little behind than most. You understand? So I would tell them, just like my oldest son, premature, 1 pound 3, talking about he's not going to make it. He's not going to live. He's 21 years old. Or he's not going to be able to speak. He's going to have a speech problem. He's going to have a learning problem. He's going to be, and I was like, no. I said, no. I said, what I'm going to do is he's not going to fall into that category, but I'm going to make sure if he needs to learn how to walk and if he does have a speech problem, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to make sure he gets the help for it. But I'm going to do everything to make sure that he's going to excel, and I'm going to push him to do it. But I do understand his limit, right? Like he has a limit. And I think what happens a lot is these parents have such a, because we didn't do it and we want them to do it, and you're supposed to do it and we have to do it. We don't realize that sometimes they're not us. They come from us, but they're not us. And just because you caught on quick the way you did doesn't mean that they are. They might just need a little more time. So I do feel parents do put too much pressure on their kids, not realizing just because you want that doesn't mean that's for them. Like I was saying the other day, I have a whole cosmetic line with 3 boys, and these niggas said what I look like being a part of makeup. I can't be mad at that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna sit there and be like, no, you need to be a part of this, because no, they don't fuck with makeup. So now I will have to sit and find somebody outside. If my girls don't want to miss, I'm not gonna put that pressure on them, because that's what makes them not want to get involved with things, because they're like, that's not what I want to do. I want to sit and I want to do something different. If you feel, I put the pressure on my kids to graduate high school, but I said, do it at your pace. Do it at your pace, because I never wanted my kids to feel like I was pressuring them. And my oldest daughter made me feel like that for a while. You want me to live this expectation? And I had to realize, like, you know what? I know you're smart. I know you could be a doctor. I know your math is like this and you could do it. And I did put her on. I did have an expectation for my daughter. And she told me, you have this expectation for me, and I feel like I can't reach it. And that's when I had to sit and say, okay, I get it. I understand. So you got to really know your kids and learn your kids the best way you can. If you see that they are having a learning disability, don't be like, you're fucking stupid, or you need to get them the help. Get them the help. There's help out there.
So interestingly enough, that you're saying that you think that's important to make sure that the resources that are there should be utilized, right? There absolutely are parents who don't understand or understand the need for the services, right? Don't understand how important it is to get the children what they need at the time that they're going through something, and then don't even understand, they're not educated enough to understand the repercussions of them not moving forward with ensuring that certain things are put in place for their children when they're going through these things, and they're experiencing the peer pressure, they experience the overwhelmingness of what the expectations are being put upon them when it comes to their parents or even school or even just their peers, right? So what would you say would be the major issue when it comes to parents? Why do you think there are some parents who are not receptive for the services that's needed?
I think
some parents are in denial. I think there's a lot of parents that are in denial, and they don't want to accept the fact that there's a possibility that their kid just can't catch up the way, they would expect them to. And I also feel, again, the village. With that, I'm definitely the parent that was always saying, go get your mother. Whenever a kid was fucking with my kid, I was definitely that young parent that was saying, go get your mother, until I met the mother. And then when I meet the mother, I'm like, now I realize why this kid is acting out the way they are. And I won't even be mad at that kid no more. And I'll just be like, your mother's retarded, and I understand why you acting out that way. You know what I'm saying? And then me, as the person that's a part of the village, I grew up to realize that these kids that are acting out is because of what they're going through at home. So even there's parents, again, that's out there that they're in denial. Oh, not my son, not my kid, not my kid. So now here, me as another parent, that's why we have, the PTAs and all of that stuff. I had to sit and say, you know what, let us as the PTA parents and the deans and the counselors and the social workers in the school, us as the village, we gotta get a plan for this kid, so like that this kid could accomplish, because as you can see, the mother's not gonna do it.
Right. So I'm gonna go to Instagram real quick because Hazel's on the roll.
Is it in English?
Hazel, you want to come up on here?
Is it in English?
It's in English.
You want to come in here? We can let you come up. Let us know. We'll send you the link. She said, I'm 37 and my dad.
Let us know. I'll send you the link.
She said, I'm 37 and my dad still puts pressure on me. I get it. Sometimes wings have got to be cut. She said, I depend on them a lot because of it. I know if I need help, they will always be there. It's what happens when they're gone, then how I'm going to be. See, my dad don't see it like that because he comes from nothing. So to him, it's like, when the language and then don't do what you got to do.
I knew it. Spanish.
Because my dad upbringing, he put OD pressure on me and my brother, even my niece. Okay. So that type of pressure. Now, sometimes when the pressure is so thick, it carries into the adulthood. Right. And then when your children are adult, the expectation is that they learn from whatever pressure you gave them and they go about their business. Right. But then you find that as an adult, you're still depending on your parents to do certain things. You're still depending on your parents to be there no matter what. And like Hazel said, what happens when they're no longer here? How do you handle that? How do you prepare yourself for that? And that's something that anybody can prepare themselves for. But I think that one of the things I think that is important is that people understand that there are several resources out there for children, especially teenagers, right? Because if they don't get the necessary services that they need, it just progress until adulthood, right? And those behaviors that they're displaying with their untreated mental health, it just gets worse, and then it just spirals out of control, and then as an adult they can't function. You was gonna say something?
When Jesus said, my dad, he came from nothing and he had to work hard and he was under that pressure of having to sit and build from nothing, right? And then they sit and they put that pressure on their kids, and I laugh at certain situations like that, because it's like you putting the pressure on these kids to sit and do what you did, but you work for them not to live that way, right? So they're not gonna understand the pressure that you went through, because they building from the bottom while they came in the world and you already built. So it's like you want to put that pressure of struggle on me when I'm not struggling. It's just let me put the pressure to sit and succeed. If that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense, but it's like that pressure that you're trying to put on me, you had to deal with that because of what you went through. I didn't have to grow up as the child. I didn't have to go up through that because you went through it and you did everything to prevent your kids from going through that. So you can't put that same pressure on me because I'm not going through what you went through. So when I hear parents be like, no, I had to go through that. Yeah, you had to go through that, but your kids didn't have to go through that. You went through what you went through, so your kids didn't have to go through that.
But let me say this, and then Sha, I'm gonna let you land, right? I think that a lot of times when a person goes through something, and let's just say a traumatic situation, right? Let's say just not having anything, right? When you go through a situation where you know what it's like to not have anything, and you have children, and you want to work hard to make sure that your children never experience that, you're not taught how to guide them to not experience that. You only know what it is that you did to get out of that, what you don't want them to do to be in that situation. So whereas, as a child or a teenager, you may feel like it's a bit much, that person is only teaching you what they know from their experience. Right? You're not getting a lesson plan on how to teach your kids not to have to struggle, right? You're teaching your kids how to survive. If I know I didn't have nothing, I know in my household, it was a must that we had saltine crackers and tuna and peanut butter and jelly. If you didn't have nothing to eat, you had crackers, tuna, peanut butter, and jelly, and Popeyes. The Popeye, not Popeye's chicken. You know
The pot pies.
Popeyes. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that our parents, like I think in my mother's generation, they had a time where they just have no food, because I swear the amount of canned goods that she has that in her house is ridiculous, and a lot of them are outdated, right? But hey, don't bother it, because we survival, right? That's their way of surviving. So they're not pretty much saying to us, I want you to do this because I don't want you to go through this. They're gonna just show you how to survive, and that's what you know. Each and every one of us has gotten something from our parents that we do to this day, based on our experience. Right? Based on and we've said it to our children, just like the whole, you couldn't roll your eyes or suck your teeth when we was growing up. Right, and you find the kids generation these days, they do, but we never did, and we'd be like, I would have never been able to do that. My mother would have knocked my teeth out or something like that, to that effect. And then everybody's like, huh, really? You know what I'm saying? So I say all that to say that, a lot of times your parents have a certain a way of trying to show you something so that you don't have to experience what they experience, but sometimes it makes it worse because then you feel too much pressure and then you wind up doing the same thing that they did or they experienced going through it. Now, what you gonna say, Sean?
I was gonna say like this mental health is sometimes I think adults and parents it's hard to recognize. Like if your kid got a broken leg, you see because they start limping. Sometimes that mental health is hard to recognize. I mean, sometimes they'll sit in the room, they'll be a little off to themselves, and it's hard to detect. And I think that's a big problem too, because by the time you do detect it, or somebody tells you, sometimes it's too late. And then in terms of the pressure with kids, like the only thing like I don't agree with is like life is hard. So these kids need to learn how to be resilient. Like we're using the word pressure, but that's what life is about, pressure. Like there's a lot of things where there's gonna be pressure applied. And at some point they gotta be able to handle that. And they have to learn how to, yes, you want to be empathetic to mental health, but they got these kids about to be adults. They gotta be able to deal with stuff. Like I don't believe in pampering my daughter and like making things seem sweet and just making sure she just tiptoes through life. Like, nah, like it's real stuff going on here, and you're going to have to go out there and be built for it, because when you 30, 35, 40, and I'm not here, I want to be resting in peace knowing that you know how to handle yourself and that you ain't going to crack under the pressure that you're complaining about now. You know what I'm saying? So,
but as you see, with you have a daughter and she's in college, so the pressure doesn't stop. She's still dealing with the pressure after high school. Now she's in college. So, hey, girl.
And that's the thing too. Like a lot of these kids, like even when I went to school and she's seen it now, they ain't built for what comes of living in that room, using community showers. Like mentally, they don't have the fortitude to adjust from going home with your parents and like and being able to excel. A lot of them kids ain't there no more. What you want to say, Tom?
I think pressure is.
You got to get in here.
I look crazy though. Okay, I think pressure is because if my dad would have gave me that clutch my whole life, I would have been in college going crazy. People went home like the first week. They was going home. My best friend, he goes home every weekend. He don't know how to wash his clothes. He doesn't know how to do anything by himself.
Wow.
Talk about truck.
Because his parents just.
Oh, I didn't want to say his name. My bad. My bad.
That's how you know your father's getting old. He don't know we on technology. We on live. He thought we were just having a personal conversation.
So what I'm hearing you say, as I unpack what you said, that your father instilled some things to you that allowed you to learn how to handle yourself when you're by yourself.
Yes.
Great. Good job, Sean.
In real life, they don't care. Okay, yes, mental health is a good thing to be concerned about, but people don't care. So nobody's gonna cradle you. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I used to tell her that the world doesn't care how soft you are; they're gonna run over you, and it's just a fact. Like, I don't think society's set up to deal with people like that. They really get flushed out, and they end up at the bottom of the life cycle. This society and these kids are getting weaker and weaker. Like, it could be an inch of snow, and these kids don't got to go to school. That's crazy. We was going to school in blizzards. Like little things like that. Like you need to learn how to overcome and deal with stuff.
Yeah, the amount of snow days that they have now for these children is ridiculous. Like it's
crazy.
It's supposed to be 20 inches. Yes, it doesn't even snow.
I'm surprised they don't got pollen day. There's too much pollen outside. You can't come on pollen. I can see pollen day more than a snow day. Niggas die from pollen.
You know what I have a problem with?
We work. I have to go to work if it's a snowstorm. You better hurry up and figure it out.
You know what I have a problem with too? I think that society wants to label people so bad. They label these kids mad early, and they're perpetuating mental health. Like they're telling you your kid has mental health problems at 4 because they may not play with a certain toy, and now they're treating them like they have mental health, and they don't even have it. They might have something else, right?
ADHD, for example, they base that off of kids being jitterish. Those are kids.
Right. So I think there's such a big thing to like classify people.
But you know what happened? So there was a period of time where parents were, and this is going back to my generation, right? If your child had an IEP an IEP, and they were able to say that there was something wrong. The parents got to check, right? Oh, your child stutter when they speak. They got a speech problem. Oh, your child got asthma. Oh, there goes the check. Oh, ADHD. Oh, there goes the check, right? And a lot of parents was like, "Give me that check, yeah, give me that check," right, with the black cheese, right, and the peanut butter with all the oil on the top, right? That's real. Now it's when they move from the ADHD diagnosis to now they want to give you medication. That's when it become a problem because those parents who didn't really feel like their kids really had a problem, they just were trying to get a check. Now they're like, nah, you're not going to medication. Now it's a problem, right? So I think that when we talk about teenagers and mental health, I think that the thing about mental health is mental health doesn't always have to have a diagnosis, right? It can be a feeling. Right? We say mental health. A person can go to therapy if they feeling like their mentals are uneven, right? So when some adults hear the word mental health, it's a fear. Nothing wrong with my kid. People equate mental health with crazy, right?
Right.
People equate mental health with there's got to be something wrong or there's something wrong with you as a parent because your kid is having some issues. And they forget that teenagers are full of emotion. The teenage years, that young adolescent teenage years are the years where they are developing more emotion, learning more, and doing a whole lot, and learning a whole lot, and experiencing a whole lot. So their emotions is all over the place. My older daughter, I talked to her when she was a teenager. You good? You ate? Your work was done? I'm good. Why? Because the attitude was ridiculous, right? I was there when I needed to be, but as far as like I got time for the attitude because they go through different emotions, and we parents just be like, "What's your problem?" And we defensive. We want to fight. We want to curse them out, but we don't really know what the problem is. A lot of times, it stems from the things that transpire in school. It stems from the peer pressure, right? If you got an absent father, it stems from the relationship dynamic. If you have an absent mother, it stems from that relationship dynamics, right? Kids want what other people have sometimes. They see it. You know what I'm saying? If there's an absent father and they got a friend whose father's around and they see the relationship dynamic, they're affected by it. Had nothing to do with their friend and their father. It has to do with everything to do with their situation and how they're feeling about themselves at that moment. Why? Because people often want things that they see because they see that it looks good at that moment. Right?
I think that something that'll help with it, and I'm talking from experience, is that parents like when the woman's pregnant or you about to be a parent, those are the ones that need counseling. Is the damn parents to know how to deal with certain things, and that would eliminate a lot of stuff. Because there's a lot of help I could have used to help circumvent and understand how to have conversations with my child early that I had to learn through trial and error, and that could have went left.
So what do you mean? You mean that on the onset of becoming a parent, there should be some training, some classes?
Think parents need training on how to be parents. So we just emulating what our parents did or doing nothing, and sometimes that doesn't work. Some of this mental health stuff is systematic. Like it just keeps happening because we've never learned how to do certain skills to communicate with these kids and understand the emotional young adults, because we're so detached from when we were kids because we feel like we made it. So there's a lot of things like when I was a kid I didn't even think about because we dealt with stuff differently. That I just expected my daughter, listen, you need to go and handle that. When that thing really needed a conversation and we need to really explore what the real issue was, you know what I'm saying? So that I can understand better. But, I was raising her like a pit bull. Like, back in the day, if something was wrong with you, your mother would be like, my mother's you like, yo, go take a nap. And she just expect me to take a nap, wake up, and it's all gone. But the issue's still there. So I built that in like, she'll be all right. But no, she won't be all right. Like, there's a discussion that needs to be had. And that, I think that would help too, because a lot of parents don't know what they're doing.
Right, but a lot of parents also move on emotions, right? If I don't coddle my kid or if I don't do something different, then they're gonna go to the streets, right? Now, is that a good thing? No, but that's a fear, right? How many times you see boys that's real defiant and arguing with their parents, and back in the days you'd be like, well, get out if you don't like my rules. Nowadays you don't even want to say get out because they're gonna get out. And then they're going to be in the street, and they're more engaged in the street than they are in your house. So now you're conflicted with, am I going to allow my child to disrespect me, or I'm going to send my child to the street? Because if you send the child to the street and something happens to the child and that's on you, you're going to feel like that's your fault. Right? Yep. So it's a little, it's tough. It's tough. But I do agree. I do think that they should give. I mean, but understand, right? The training should be within a certain age time, right? Because mothers get training for newborns, right?
Mm-hmm.
How to train, how to swaddle them, how to feed them,
Mm-hmm.
how many hours you should feed them, how much milk you should give them, and things like that. And it's the follow up appointments that you go 1 month, 2 months, like you go continuously, right? Year after they turn a year. So I think that between the ages of 10 and 13, 14 should be a class. 14 to 16 should be a class. And 17, 16 to 19 should be a class. And
Yeah.
that way,
So what is classified as like mental health, right? Let's say mental health. That's what we're talking about. Like, is would somebody that's emotionally detached from, you know, their kid or something, that what category does that fall into mental health?
you say,
Like, there's so many different categories, right? Like, you have people that are schizophrenic, that's a mental health issue, right? That would be like a mental health problem. People that are bipolar, a mental, like, that's something that's mental, right? Now, do you think
so,
somebody that's dealing with something emotionally?
so mental health is a state of well-being that affects how people think, feel, and act. It is a basic human right that is important at all stages of life to help people cope with stress related to others and make healthy choices. Mental health is more than just the absence of the mental disorder. So mental health is a state of mind. A mental disorder
Mm-hmm.
is what you're diagnosed.
Right,
So that's the difference.
right.
So
That's the difference.
when we talk about mental health, a general statement when it comes to mental health is the well-being of how you think and how you deal with others and how you interact, right? So when we're speaking of children, teenagers, when they're outside in the street and they're being peer pressured or bullied, for that matter, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
taking on the pressure or peer pressure and doing something they're not supposed to do, right? That's their mental state, right? When
Mm-hmm.
the behavior escalates, right? And it's uncontrollable, right? Then we have to find out if there's a mental health disorder, if there's some chemical
Mm-hmm.
imbalance that causes this person to act the way they act, or is it just a behavior issue?
That chemical imbalance is real.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference. So everyone has mental health. You take a mental health day when you're
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed at work, right? But does me taking a mental health day mean that I have a mental health diagnosis? Right?
That
Some
is,
people don't understand that aspect of it. A lot of times people hear,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, they hear mental health and they run with it, and it's like, oh, my kid don't have no issue. So
your
that's
dog got mental health issues too.
Mm-hmm.
talk about my dog.
It do. It's bipolar.
My dog don't have no mental health issues. But yeah,
But
so I
anger
think that
issue.
it's important that so I'm gonna just share something with you, right? So when you say mental health disorder and mental illness, to same disorder, mental illness, disorder diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
mental illness is the process of the mind, right? So mental health, right? When you say mental health versus mental illness, right? Mental health is a state, like I said, well-being. The person realizes his or her own ability, can cope with normal stresses of life, and can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community, right? Mental illness. Mental illness is defined as a health condition that affects a person thinking, feeling, behavior, or mood. Can conditions may Such conditions may affect someone's ability to relate to others and function every day. So
Mm-hmm.
we
You
just
know, is mental health is, I personally think mental health is very important because we should, we need the people that's smart enough to realize what a mental health disorder and illness is to protect us, because mental health disorders and issues are people that are, you know, murderers and serial killers, and this is that's a mental health issue, that people that think it's okay to do cruel stuff like that. And I think, I've always been grateful for people that are strong enough to be a therapist, people that are strong enough to be a psychiatrist, that could sit and, deal with people that do have mental health issues. And I feel this is a good time, not like now, especially, our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids and many of those that come after us are not going to have it as easy the way we did, even though we came up with a hard time. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on now, and the mental health is going to be a lot more of a concern, with our kids now and the kids that's coming. So I'm really grateful for those, because our parents and grandparents didn't have that access like the way they have it now.
Right.
So, mental health it has to be. We got people that's running countries that have mental health issues.
That is a fact. But the thing about mental health, mental illnesses, is that a person has to be, so a lot of times people are aware of what their mental health diagnosis is, but they don't want to take the medication, or they don't want to deal with it because, again, they don't want to be signaled. In teenagers too. There are a lot of teenagers that parents get them evaluated. They have IEP, they have diagnosis, they're supposed to be on medication, but they don't want to take it. They're supposed to be in different class settings, but because it's not the in crowd, they don't want to do it. They don't understand how it affects them. They don't utilize it, the resources that are available to them. And that sometimes, which causes the behavior to escalate and get worse. Right. I think that it's important that with our teenagers, we have conversations with them, right? And as parents, we don't take what their behavior is personal and internalize it, right? Try to understand what's going on, and have a conversation to understand what it is that they're going through. I'm not saying that we should allow the children to disrespect our parents, or us as parents, and do what they want. I think that it should be more of a conversation to try to find out where it's coming from. And a lot of times, kids be like, nothing, ain't nothing wrong. And your kid, right? You can ask the same question over and over again, and at them like, and then next thing you know, they crying in the corner, but they just gonna tell you ain't nothing wrong. So sometimes you gotta have a conversation, try to make your kids understand that you are there and you are gonna be there. Because even the statement of, you don't think I've been through what you've been through? Like, I done seen everything that you've seen, or I've done that, and then the response sometimes is like, no, you haven't, right? And then some of us, like Shy, we can tell you till we blue in the face what some of the experience we've been through, so you can understand that it's not a game out here, and how you receive it is always going to be something different.
Let me tell you, I did that. Me and my husband did that with our kids. We sat and we told them what we've been through, what we've gone through, what we had to do to survive, because we didn't have no choice. And it was that one out of the bunch that had to sit and say, you know what, I want to experience that too. When you didn't have to experience it. But you know what? Because my parents went through it, I want to go through it too. And it's like, what the hell? I didn't tell you that for you to experience it, but you want to experience it. I don't know why, but that's the choice that you're making.
So that goes back to having, like Hazel said, having conversations about why you did what you did and what made you do it to survive, and the response that you get. Understand that a lot of our children idolize us. They want to be like us. We're the first adult that they know. So sometimes the kids want to be who you are. So if the parent is a rough person and jail is their thing, then you're gonna have kids that want to emulate that behavior. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and all of the lingo and the slang and all that. So I think that sometimes it's important to have certain conversations so that the kids understand that it's gonna be okay. It's rough out here. I think that's an important conversation. It's rough out here, and it's not gonna be easy. And we're trying to guide you so that you don't have to experience some of the things. But if you want to experience them, go right ahead. Right? So, I mean, I think that we've touched the aspect of the teenagers, and I think that my suggestion to everyone who have teenagers is to utilize the resources that are available to you. You can do a 311 search. Is 311 in Jersey too?
Oh no.
In New York, you can do a 311 search.
In New York, it's 311. Yep. You can call 311.
And find resources, right? They have Boys and Girls Club. They have different after school programs for these teenagers, peer groups, boys and big brother, big sister groups that people will mentor your children, and maybe they can engage them to the point where they can hear them or take a liking and have some positive influence. They have fraternities and sororities that have different different events and different programs for teenagers, scholarships, all of that is available. So I encourage everyone that when it comes to your children, you be more involved in their behaviors and have conversations with them and show them different things, right? Because you know, I'm gonna read something, okay? Exploring the topic of teenage mental health is crucial for understanding and addressing the unique challenge that adolescents may face. It is important to consider the impact of social pressure, academic stress, hormonal change, and the influence of technology on their mental and well-being. Discussing strategies to promote positive mental health, building resilience, and seeking help when needed may play a vital role in supporting teenagers as they navigate this important stage of their development. Additionally, addressing the stigma surrounding mental health issues and providing resources for seeking professional help are key components of this important conversation. So, with that, with that, I'm gonna say, take care of our children. Right? You have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, little cousins. Jerk up on the corner. Have a conversation. How you doing? How's it going? Not so much teaching or scolding. Just what's up? How you doing? It's okay. Sometimes it helps. Utilize the resources that are available for you and the youth, and talk to somebody. It's okay. So we have Unpacked, exploring the topics of mental health, teenagers with mental health. We have explored the difference between mental health and mental illnesses. Okay. So we have unpacked that after dark. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in and checking us out. We'll be back here next Friday, same time. If you have any topics you want to discuss, feel free to send a message. Send me an email. You can send us a message on IG, and we'll unpack that. Okay. So until next week, I say.
Until next week, y'all.
Peace, love.
Peace.
Buenas noches. Stay blessed, y'all.